Hey my friends, man, welcome back. Iranian people, today we're gonna take a look at the video that is called Persia before Khomeini, the history of Iran in 50 minutes of perfectly restored film material. So we're gonna take a look of how Persia looked before Khomeini gained power in, was it 1977? It was Islamic Revolution. So we know we had so many pictures of what happens these days. We had all the political songs. We know what happened after the Islamic Revolution, but what was before that, man? Let's take a look. Let's take a look, man. That's 1973. I didn't see any hijab, man. That's the first thing. What is going on?
Iran, a country brimming with energy, exploding with construction and development, a dynamic state with a thriving capital. Iran.
I swear that looks like in Germany at the same time. I swear when I saw film material from that time from Germany, it looked the same. Hey boy.
A unique
okay, the music is a little bit too dramatic for my
endeavor.
taste.
In an age when so many monarchies perished and Mohammad Reza Shah had ascended to the throne, Iran still adheres to her constitutionalist traditions. With the oldest constitution in all Asia, she still remains a monarchy.
Says the oldest? Still a monarchy. The oldest what? Wait a second.
Oldest constitution in all Asia.
The oldest constitution in old Asia.
She still remains a monarchy. Symbol of the new role of women in Muslim Iran is the active participation of Farah, the Shah Banu, in representing the dynasty, the state. She's in charge of whole sectors of national life.
So, Iran was a monarchy before, so they had basically a king or a queen. This is what I get from that.
Particularly in the fields of social activities, art, and culture.
It says Deutsche Gäste, German guests. 1973.
The hearts of the Persians are still in the ruins of Persepolis, the ancient capital built in 520 BC by Darius, 230 years later burned by Alexander of Macedonia.
Yeah, there's actually history from far ago. Alexander from Macedonia, who reached out to Asia. I think that he even got parts of India, like back in the days.
In 1971, Iran celebrates her 2,500th birthday as a nation, as a
2,000 what?
In 1971, Iran celebrates her 2,500th birthday as a nation.
2,500 birthday as a nation.
As a state and as a monarchy, the oldest monarchy in the world with the youngest dynasty. But looking back to the empire of Cyrus, of Darius, of Xerxes.
I know that Iranian people are very proud of their country and their history, so I think it's not wrong to talk about the history of Iran. so many culture goods from thousands of years ago, probably, man. It's just interesting to see all these pictures, like of a peaceful Iran. You know, this is something different. You can't imagine it these days to see pictures like that. So we're basically looking at a monarchy that is 1,000. How many years was it? Like over 1,000 years, over 2,000 years, I don't know. But the monarchy is the longest lasting monarchy ever worldwide, right? So, and then this is, they celebrate this birthday of, like, hey man, a couple years before the Islamic Revolution. You have to keep that in mind, man.
Throughout the vast empire, a whole network of roads and communications was established. Throughout the centuries, on the ruins of old towns, new ones were erected. And again, on the remnants of these, layer on layer, in this country so often invaded.
Iran was often invaded. It was, I saw a video about how the map of Iran changed, like, I think 500 BC to now, and there was so much happening. Like, always something happening. Like different monarchies and kingdoms and whatever.
During these thousands of years, the Iranians were often conquered, yet never colonized. So they
never colonized. So British colonization didn't happen in Iran, man.
Remained a proud people, conscious of their history.
Yes, that is something that I notice often. Proud people, conscious of their history. That is actually true. I see that. I can tell this is true because of all the message I got, like, from Iranian people under my YouTube videos and type of stuff. So this is true.
Their heritage.
Most of these film materials from 1973, I notice, showing an Imam Mosque. Look, just regular. You didn't have to wear a hijab, man. I mean, I said in the beginning, but you see it right here. It's in Iran. Well, that's awesome, man. Look at how that looks. Allah. Look, the current government basically destroyed the belief of Muslim people, right? By spreading the wrong laws, right? And this is something. I mean, how can you force a religion on your people and make them hate the religion because of that, when they actually were free to choose? They probably would have been Muslim anyway. So I don't know. So much culture goods, man.
From the southern regions burnt by the scorching sun, the Trans-Iranian Railway provides one of the few connections to the Caspian littoral in the north, where rainfall reaches 60 inches per year. Yet, as everywhere in Iran, most of the country's 60,000 villages are isolated from the outside world. Oil, the basis of Iran's wealth. The oil boom offering new opportunities, new challenges for the country's development. Steel mills built by the Russians, partly in exchange for delivery of natural gas to the Soviet Union.
So we're talking about economy in this part. So I don't know when they started to gather the oil, like to get the oil out, and they got steel factories from Russia in exchange for gas. This is how far ago, but I wonder why Russia taking gas from Iran. This is something I'm not getting right here.
Iranian assembly and manufacturing plants already produce the greater part of all motor vehicles now needed in the country. This ancient land's armed forces today are continually equipped with the latest weapons. Iran's military strength has aroused suspicion even in the West. It should be remembered, however, that Iran again and again in her history has been unable to resist so many foreign invasions because of her military weakness. The Shah, here with Egypt's Sadat, has learned his lesson. Britain's main interest? Oil. As early as 1901, the Englishman William Knox D'Arcy had been granted a 60-year oil concession. The 26th of May, 1908, marked the beginning of the oil industry in the Middle East.
So the British interest was the oil in Iran.
February 21st, 1921, was the day of Reza Khan's coup d'etat with his Cossacks. He marched to Tehran and overthrew a weak and tottering government. Eventually, firm control over the whole country was established. All Russian concessions in Iran were abolished, concessions for Britain granted by the old government cancelled.
Hey boy. The powers back in the days made their own business, man. Russia overthrown, British. Hey man, okay.
The exception of the old oil concession. In 1925, the last Shah of the Qajar dynasty was deposed by the Majlis, Iran's parliament. Reza Khan, then prime minister, is elected Shah. The official coronation takes place on the so-called Peacock Throne. Out of Reza Shah's family, his eldest son, Mohammad Reza, is appointed crown prince. The years of the government of Reza Shah, later to be named Reza Shah the Great, are the years in which the foundations of a sovereign and modern state are laid.
So there was in 1921, he said, right? There was the coup d'etat, and after that, there was the foundation for the state that got developed after that.
In 1928, the king of neighboring Afghanistan pays the first state visit to the newly born Iran. Another state visit with another neighbor. Reza Shah, this time not the host, but the guest. Visit to Kemal Ataturk, founder of New Turkey.
So, they met up with people from Afghanistan and Turkey. I mean, I know that there are strong boundaries to both of these countries, like within the population these days.
Celebration of a wedding day. Crown Prince Mohammad Reza is married to Princess Fauzi of Egypt, a liaison which will be unsuccessful.
So the Crown Prince married to an Egyptian woman?
Princess Fauzi of Egypt, a liaison which will be unsuccessful.
Alright.
World War I had proved to the Iranians how badly they needed a strong army for self-defense. Roosevelt and Churchill agree upon the Atlantic Charter, guaranteeing every nation's right to self-determination. But in flagrant violation of the provisions of the Charter, Iran will soon be made a victim of the big powers' conflict. British bombers attack the Iranian fleet and sink most of the ships, causing considerable loss of life. Reza Shah had declared his country neutral, but in August 1941, as they had done in the First World War, without forewarning, the Russians and the English invaded Iran.
What? This is something I've never heard of. Second World War, British and Russia invading Iran? But why? For their own interests? There was nothing happening actually in that place, right? Just for the oil?
British troops enter Iran from the south, Russians from the north. Soon, Russian and British units meet in the middle of a sovereign country, just like occupation powers. Officially, the capital of Tehran is exempt from occupation, but in reality, very soon it will be a center of foreign activities. Now, the Shah himself, here in his last filmed appearance, abdicates and leaves the country. The true masters for the moment, the British and Soviet ambassadors, are of course interested in the security of their soldiers, but not
Not
so much in the stability of the government. To ensure inner stability, the Crown Prince consequently has to act quickly. In Parliament, Mohammad Reza, within a few days after his father's abdication, takes the oath as the new Shah. Under the circumstances, it is almost a new coup d'etat.
So the Crown Prince taking the lead for political stability under supervision of Soviet and British politics? Can you say it like that?
Iran, 1943. This is the city where the first conference of the Big Three will take place, a conference decisive for the fate of the post-war world. Toward the end of 1943, the Big Three are, of course, preoccupied with the big decisions which would determine their future mutual relationship. Mohammad Reza
So we have like from USA, the Big Three, USA, UK, and Soviets. These are the three.
Which would determine their future mutual relationship. Mohammad Reza Shah meets Churchill and Roosevelt and Stalin. The independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Iran is finally recognized by the Allies in a solemn declaration. Iran, in the meantime, suffers heavily from the effects of the occupation. What influence is left for the Shah? In those days, Mohammad Reza Shah takes advantage of the unique role of the Americans who had not invaded Iran and had no imperialist past there, as had the Russians and English. Finally, the Iranians are again masters in their own house. Mohammad Reza Shah himself...
So they regained sovereignty, and now we go on the USA, who didn't, from these three countries, who didn't invade, like they didn't have a history with Iran on invading, so they have a special role in this.
Visits the London Games of 1948 to demonstrate Iran's presence. 1 year after that visit to London, the first attempt on the Shah's life is made. In the following years, 4 more such attempts will be made. In the first...
But why? Why do they... Were they try to assault him? Did he... There are no details said in this, right?
Years of the United Nations' existence, much is expected from this organization. So the Shah pays a visit to the World Forum to plead for his country.
Without peace, the smaller countries can make no advance in their efforts to attain high living standards and social justice. With peace, we can do all. Therefore, speaking in behalf of one of the smaller countries, I make this appeal. Do not fail us.
The Shah's appeal, though welcomed emphatically by world opinion, does not help very much. The country does possess natural riches which could help to develop Persia. But Iran's oil is being exploited by others. It is the British who get the lion's share of the huge oil profits and who refuse for a long time to grant a greater share to the country from whose soil this wealth is extracted.
I mean, when we're talking about the UK here, what they did in the past century, they were really like... They were really the evil. I don't want to say about anything bad about British people these days, but what they did in whole Asia and in this century, there was a reason why they were so rich, right? So, yeah.
In this situation, demagogues are ready at hand. The then Prime Minister propagates nationalization of the oil industry, expropriation of the foreign companies. No more concessions for any foreigner. Iran must do everything on her own. The architect of this radical policy, Prime Minister Mossadegh, when the British do not agree, he stops oil production. While British technicians and their families leave the country, America's Special Ambassador Harriman, as an intermediary, tries to settle the dispute. Harriman's mission in Tehran fails. The British-Iranian case is submitted to the United Nations as well as to the International Court in The Hague. Mossadegh's policy fails. Mossadegh
so all the attempts to make an appeal on how to use the oil failed, but of course, why should go for any appeal? Like UK is allowed to make all the profits from the oil. Why should you agree to that if you're in Iran? So I'm getting the point.
Organizes riots in Tehran. Their aim, to overthrow the Shah, who has decided to dismiss his prime minister, whose policy he feels is disastrous for the country. For a short time, it seems as if this rebellion, directed by the prime minister against the monarch, is successful. But the wave rolls back. Demonstrations in favor of the Shah, in which the military joins too. General Zahedi, appointed prime minister by the Shah, takes over government. If Washington expressed open sympathy for the Shah remaining in power, the Today party was helped by Moscow. Mossadegh's trial for high treason. The death penalty is threatening. Under the new government, a settlement is reached with the British over the oil issue. Hamburg Harbor. The policy of independence and self-reliance requires know-how and modern equipment. Learning and purchasing abroad, as at Stuttgart and the Mercedes plant, which eventually will become partly Persian property when the oil boom for the first time makes possible Iranian investments abroad. Chancellor Adenauer from the Federal Republic of Germany.
So we know basically at a point where Iran is making the first profit from the oil and is working now with car brands from Germany and having factories in their own country, owning some parts of the company. So we're getting to a point where Iran is trying to establish. Okay.
On this occasion, Soraya, partly of German descent, is interpreting. Her marriage to the Shah will not produce an heir to the throne, vital for the dynasty, and they'll be divorced shortly. And for the first time in her relations with Great Britain, as here on the occasion of a state visit to London, Iran is treated as an equal sovereign power. On December...
So we had the sovereignty before in this video, so this is the first time they were accepted as a sovereign state from UK. And they were the ambassadors, basically. Back.
December 21st, 1959, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi is married to Farah Diba. 10 months later, a son is born to the royal couple, vital for the dynasty, for Iran's monarchy, an heir to the throne.
But his dynasty had fallen.
In the last 10 years of his reign, the Shah thought that he had bought security through his weapons and through his police, through Sadak. But neither the Shah nor Sadak moved against that force which was older than the Shah. This was the power of the Church of Muhammad.
So we're not coming to the point how the Islamic Revolution took place, how the Shah got overthrown by the Islamic movement and by the church. So the people who got dragged to act against the Shah didn't know at that time what the Islamic Revolution would mean for the country.
And because there were millions of people who in one way or another had been oppressed by the regime, they found the only vehicle for this expression was the mosque. And against the mosque, the Shah was in essence powerless. The one body, the one faith, the one power against which the Shah could not maintain his rule.
So the Shah failed to maintain against the mosque, basically. And I don't know what... I mean, who was like the person behind this, if it was Can we actually see, have we taken a look at Khomeini? If he was actually back in that, wait a second. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Like, was he? It says Ruhollah Murzavi Khomeini was an Iranian Ayatollah, political and religious leader, who was the leader of the Islamic Revolution from 1979 and after that until his death. So basically he led this protest, right? So he was leading them and was making another coup d'etat, basically. That was supposed to happen back then.
The portrait of the Shah goes up in flames. The Shah has gone up in flames. He's been driven from his country, in all likelihood, never to return.
I wonder what people would say today about his return, you know. That is the question. That is the question, man. Hey man, this was really interesting. It was not really what I expected, so it was more a documentary about the history of Iran. It was really interesting. I have more information now about what happened, and all the stuff about UK, Soviet Union was interesting, about the role of the US played there. Nice stuff, man. Thank you for sending me this video. I will link it down in the video description, and if you want to see more reactions like this, please sub to the channel and hit the bell, and don't forget to hit me up on my socials, Instagram and Facebook, to follow my other content and write me messages. Thank you very much. And I have a new music video on my channel with a Moroccan German rapper DNA. You can check it out right here. It's called Worldwide and is about like we having a good life where in the world all over the place are problems. And right above you can find my latest reaction on Iranian music that might be interesting for you as well. I wish you the very best. Stay healthy, stay well, and Khoda Hafiz.